A foundational figure in the world of Connecticut high school athletics, Joe Fontana made his mark as a coach and leader. Along with a legendary career as the football coach at Southington High School, he helped form and lead the Connecticut High School Coaches Association, an organization providing support and a voice for high school coaches. His desire for the organization to work hand-in-hand with CAS-CIAC provided a critical foundation which has continued to flourish and serve the best interests of high school student-athletes.
Joe was just a phenomenal guy and a great coach and a great leader of the Connecticut Coaches Association, and was never afraid to show his emotions, never afraid to let people know where he stood on issues, and he was very, very comfortable in his own skin, and was a great leader.
A lot of people know the name Joe Fontana in sports in Connecticut, but and I think that they think he was a very powerful figure in athletics, but a very quiet one. He loved people. He loved knowing people. Loved knowing people that he never knew before and being introduced to them. And people would say he would do that so that if he ever needed something, he could go to them. It wasn't that. He would know people just so that he would be familiar, and friendship was a key factor for him.
Well, one would think of as an ordinary man who did extraordinary things with his life. And he did them in ordinary ways, which I think makes it extraordinary. As far as I'm concerned, he was the mastermind behind high school athletics for many, many years, certainly for the first 20 or so years that I was with CIAC, so I think it's an extraordinarily good choice.
One of the things that I respect and admire the most about him is the amount of people he has mentored. He was an educator right from the start, and if he could educate coaches to be leaders and good examples, that was the thing that he was interested in. He wanted them to set the prime example and be there for the kids, be there for the parents, and be there for other coaches.
We had an executive board meeting, and I used to drive, and I'd go over to my uncle's house, pick him and Tom Monahan up. And I got at the meeting, first time on the board, and I got up and I spoke a couple of times, 2 or 3 times. We're coming home. We stop up in front of my uncle's house, and Tom Monahan says to me, he said, "Your uncle wants to tell you something." And so he said, if you're going to stay on the board, if you want to speak, before you speak and rile up people, you speak to Tom and I so we can explain to you the whys and why nots of what's going on. Just don't get up and speak for what John Fontana wants. It's what the state of Connecticut needs to have. I think that's the kind of people that you were dealing with back then. It's, they were strong. They were great mentors. They wouldn't just yell at you. They would tell you why.
What he did for the sake of the kids. And so I appreciated that a great deal. I appreciated the fact that he had no hidden agendas. He wasn't out to protect coaches. He was out there to make coaches better. And everything he did, as far as I was concerned, was for that mission, to make coaches better so that they could be serving kids in a better way.
I think he and Tom, along with Mike Savage, worked very well together, go hand in hand with many of the things for the coaches, all sports, willing to help out the CIAC any way they could. Mike, I think, relied an awful lot on them, trusted their judgment, not afraid to get them involved, and they weren't afraid to do things to help the CIAC.
The first day I was on board at CIAC, I saw these 2 gentlemen pull up in a car. They walked in, said hello to the secretaries, walked into my office, shook hands, sat down, and introduced themselves. And I said, well, I know of you. And obviously, all the red lights went on, and I'm wondering if this, in fact, was an opportunity for them to set me straight on what was going on. But they didn't. They wanted to let me know that the relationship between the Coaches Association and CIAC was extremely important to them, and that they wanted to be able to work hand in glove with the CIAC, and that they were available to do it. So for close to 30 years, that's exactly how we started and how we finished. They kept to their word. We had a wonderful relationship, Joe and I got to know each other quite well, and the more I got to know him, the more I appreciated Joe as an ordinary individual doing extraordinary things.
He had so much respect for the CIAC. I think that this is probably one of the biggest things that would be for him. I mean, he got local, he got national awards, but to him, the CIAC was a solid foundation for athletics in the state.
I don't think there's a more appropriate individual in Connecticut high school athletics to honor than Joe Fontana.